Welcome, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We're going to be letting people in now. It's going to take a second for the room to fill up. Please be patient until we get everything loaded, and we'll kick things off. I appreciate, again, everybody's patience getting started. A lot of people joining us tonight. Very excited for this event. Just for the record, we're going to keep folks muted except for the speakers and panelists, so it'll make it a little bit easier on the bandwidth for everybody. If you're just joining us, give us another minute while we bring everybody else into the room. Alex, I'll wait for your cue to you tell me when the waiting room is clear.
Everybody's in.
Everybody's in. Fantastic. Well, if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off. We're a few minutes behind time, and we've got a bunch of people who've made time this evening on a Friday. I'm super excited to have you all here. If you don't know me, if we haven't met, my name is Eric Robbins. I am the chair of the Pima County Democratic Party, and we are thrilled to co-host this event with AFSCME and the folks over there. I'm going to just take just a moment. It's my privilege to introduce our panelists and our special guests. First, I'd like to go ahead and affirm for the folks who took time to spend with us tonight something and see if it resonates with you. Speaking as somebody who works at the party level, I think it behooves me to be honest that from a party building perspective, most people don't grow up dreaming of becoming precinct committee people. People don't join the Democratic Party out of a desire for more parliamentary procedure in their lives. And the truth is the party really only lives in what people do, and that is in what you do and what we do. I think it's fair to consider that most folks are focused on life from the kitchen table out. Top-down power is very much of kings. Power from the people flows up. So how do we reconnect what it means to live our values? And the best answer that I have for that is ask labor. How do we teach this generation how to exercise power through solidarity? And the best answer I have is ask labor. What does it mean in this day and age to take a beating and to get back up and to win anyway? And you can ask labor because throughout America's history, that is what they have done. This party and this movement is stronger when we follow the lead of those who know how to keep getting up and how to build. And tonight is one of those moments. It's a chance for us to listen, to learn, to align. We are honored to be joined by, and starting with the organizing influence of this, as of so many things, Brianna Parkinson. She is the political and legislative director for AFSCME. She serves as the chair for the Maricopa Area Labor Federation. We are joined by the presidents of AFSCME Locals 449 and 905, Mr. Marcelino Flores and Mr. Ben Lucero. We have a warm welcome to Mr. Javier Soto, political director of IBEW Local 570. It is always a pleasure to work with and hear from our state senator, Priya Sundareshan. Helping us shape the future, we're being joined this evening by Selina Barajas and Miranda Schubert, candidates for Tucson City Council. And we are always thrilled to be joined by someone I can only describe as a leader's leader, a mentor, and a thought leader, Dr. Kathy Nichols from the Arizona list. I would like to take the briefest of opportunities to say only this. We know how hard our next panelist will be fighting for us. It is time for us to be making noise for her. I would like you to keep your eye out for a petition that will be circulated very soon. It is no surprise that she's not letting a lapdog in DC stop her from listening to and serving her constituents. We are grateful to be joined by Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva, and it just keeps getting better and better. Here with us to share, listen, and learn, the current and future governor, Katie Hobbs, is with us tonight. And to anyone that I may have missed by name, please know we are thrilled you're here. We are grateful. Please join me in using your reaction at the button at the bottom to show some love for the co-host of this event, the organizing influence, my friend, fierce advocate, a champion of you plus me equals we, Brianna Parkinson. The floor is yours, friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As Eric mentioned, my name is Brianna Parkinson. I humbly serve as AFSCME International's political and legislative director and lobbyist during the wonderful legislative sessions. We're super excited to have you all here today, and again, just issue our appreciation for all of our special guests this evening. You're all special, but especially those who are here to share their thoughts and opinions with us on throughout the panel, and our keynote speaker, of course, Governor Katie Hobbs and Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva, not elect. She needs to get sworn in ASAP. So please make sure you're making those calls to ensure that we get that done with the quickness. It's my pleasure to pass the mic to our very own AFSCME Local 449 President Marcelino Flores to introduce himself and provide a land acknowledgement. Marcelino.
Dios mchanyavu kechamalia tabe huma kaito mukinchim takapo. Kecha leka yomachuk, ine po huni kecha, los te apo itomaite apo keneleka yomachuk. Wame vanataka im hohua suukame. Itom luturia, tuitekia, itom tuiluturia. Morning, afternoon, or night, we ask that the Creator be with you. And by way of land acknowledgement, we say that we honor and respect our ancestors by honoring and respecting those who are among us, and we respectfully leave nothing but good things for those that will walk after us. Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Marcelino Flores. I'm a member of Pascuayaqui tribe, and we talk in our culture about our truth, and in our truth, it incorporates working hard and also protecting our communities. And I've lived my truth my entire life, and with that, I am proud to say that I've become the first Native American president of AFSCME Local 449. AFSCME Local 449 is made up of Tucson Unified School District workers, Pima Community College, El Rio, and also Pima County workers. And I got to tell you that I am a product of public school. I began in TUSD schools. I went to Pima Community College before I went to the U of A and graduated there. And I get my health care from El Rio. And I'm proud to say that I work for the county. So what this means to me is this is the community that I come from, and this is where I work hard to protect. And all the workers, all the families, they represent the community that we live in. And when you support unions, you support our communities, you support working families. So I'm really glad that this panel is here and again demonstrating support for labor. And I just cannot say enough great things and thanks for all those that are here and helping keep the good work going forward. So with that, Brianna, thank you for allowing me to share a few words.
Thank you, Marcelino. And with that, I'd like to turn the tide to Ben Lucero, President, AFSCME President of Local 905.
Hello, I'm Ben Lucero, President of Local 905. I've been president for almost 2 years now. I just wanted to speak about the most recent contract successor agreement that we accomplished. It took over a year to get this done. We were diligent, we were steadfast, and we knew that we had to make changes to make a better workplace in Tucson, Arizona. Our big key wins were upgrading quite a bit of the contributions that are done, and the biggest one is like the death benefit in case somebody was to die on the job. It was $2,500. We got that raised up to $25,000, and thank God that we were able to do that, because unfortunately we had to use that here within the last month. So that was a great accomplishment, and that family was able to not have to worry about paying for services after the decease of their loved one. We've also been able to increase our comp time, banks, our reimbursements for boot allowance, our safety PPE, our glasses, that amount got raised up, our boot allowance got raised up, our uniform allowance got raised up. So that was great. Those things were stymied for at least 10 to 15 years. So they hadn't changed since way back when. So it was about time that we got those changed. We were able to get quite a bit of language changes that were needed, that were way beneficial for our membership. And that's just a quick rundown of some of the accomplishments we were able to do in the negotiations, and actually having some support from our local mayor and council members, which was greatly appreciated. We had to keep going back to them because of the situation with the negotiations, but that is what we're here to do, represent our membership and try to do the best we can. Even little gains are good gains for our membership. With that being said, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Governor Katie Hobbs.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for having me tonight. It's really impressive that so many of you are here on a Friday evening. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this conversation. I think it's just been over a week since I officially launched my campaign for re-election. And I couldn't think of a better group of people to be with as we build on that momentum. Our campaign is about the people who make Arizona work, and that starts with organized labor. I am a proud AFSCME member, and I think that matters because our leaders should know what it means to stand in solidarity with working people. We have made some real progress together with an AFSCME member in the governor's office who understands what a seat at the table means. From day one, I've made sure that labor has had a seat at the table in my administration, and Arizona is stronger because of it. When I ran for governor, I promised to bring people together and deliver results that actually improve lives, and that is exactly what we've done. But I don't need to tell anyone here that this re-election race will be one of the toughest in the country. There are only 2 Democratic governors running for re-election in states that Trump won, and he won Arizona by the largest margin of any swing state, and that's 5.5 points. In their first ratings of the cycle, the Cook Political Report called the Arizona governor's race a toss-up, and I expect it will stay that way through the end. I won by just 0.7 of a point in 2022, and we know that this race is going to be just as close because our electorate is 9 points more Republican than Democratic. Right after the 2024 election, Donald Trump came to Arizona. He made it clear that he's making this governor's race one of his top priorities. He wants someone who's going to do whatever he says and won't push back, even when it hurts our state. There are 3 main contenders in the Republican primary desperately trying to stay in the president's good graces, which means the GOP primary is already shaping up to be a nasty, expensive race to the bottom. You might already know this, but leading the pack in this primary is Andy Biggs. He's the former chair of the Far-Right Freedom Caucus and a MAGA darling. He's been on the ballot more times than anyone can count, and Arizonans know exactly what his brand of politics looks like. He's got a big lead in early polling and 2 right-wing machines behind him that are ready to spend tens of millions of dollars on his behalf. Then there's Karen Taylor Robeson, a billionaire corporate developer and longtime lobbyist whose claim to fame is spending $20 million of her own money just to lose to Kari Lake in the 2022 primary. Voters did not like what she was selling then, and nothing has changed since. And finally, David Schweikert, who has spent years pushing some of Washington's worst ideas, like cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. After voting to gut Arizona's healthcare in favor of tax breaks for billionaires, he knows there's no way he could win re-election to Congress. So instead, he's decided losing a race for governor would be less embarrassing. He's trying to run away from his toxic record of abandoning Arizonans, but we are not going to let him. And in this race, really, whoever proves that they are the most loyal to Trump, even at the expense of Arizonans, will win the Republican primary. But while they fight for Trump's approval, I am going to keep fighting for Arizona. As governor, I have proven that we can win the fights that matter. Earlier this year, when extremists in the legislature sent me a budget that slashed services and left families behind, I vetoed it. I forced them back to the table, and we passed a balanced, bipartisan budget that reflects our values. And just look at the contrast. While Washington politicians passed a partisan budget that skyrockets the debt, my budget is bipartisan and balanced. While they slashed Medicaid, my budget protects healthcare for 60,000 Arizonans with disabilities. While they took meals away from kids, my budget provides meals to 68,000 children from working class families. While they cut funding to law enforcement, my budget gives well-deserved pay raises to state troopers and firefighters. And while they made college less affordable, my budget expands scholarships so working class students can afford community college. And that is what real Arizona leadership looks like. We didn't stop there. We've created over 100,000 good paying jobs. We secured TSMC's historic $165 billion investment in Phoenix, strengthened border security to stop millions of fentanyl pills from reaching our communities. We updated our groundwater laws for the first time since 1980. We stopped a foreign corporation from draining our water, and we won new protections for family farms. That is real progress, but it is also why the stakes in this campaign are so high. I know what Arizona families are going through. I've lived a lot of it myself. I've worked fast food jobs to pay for school. I've driven for Uber to make sure I could buy Christmas presents for my kids. I know what it's like to worry about paying the bills, and that is why I fight every single day to make life more affordable and to make sure no Arizonan is left behind. This campaign is not about politics or partisanship. It is about all of us. It's about protecting the progress that we've made and making sure working people continue to have a voice in shaping our future here in Arizona. So as we move forward, this is how we're going to win. By showing up in every corner of the state, talking with every voter, and proving together that Arizona's future is stronger when we put Arizonans first. And with your help, we are going to win this race. We're going to win the fight for Arizona's future, and we will keep our state moving forward. So I am so grateful for all of your partnership, for everything you do, and for standing shoulder to shoulder with me in this fight. Thank you all so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Governor Hobbs, for your amazing, kind words. I think Eric's going to jump in here.
I appreciate that. And so sorry, I made the mistake of unmuting myself in direct contravention to the instructions given us by our tech director. Governor Hobbs, thank you so much for that this evening. I'm grateful to be able to support you. Look forward to seeing you in the governorship next cycle as well. And back to Brianna Parkinson to lead off for our panel. Yes?
Yes. Thank you so much,
All
Eric.
yours, friend. Yep.
Alrighty, so the exciting parts continue. We will now move into our panel discussion. As Chair Eric Robbins shared earlier, our panelists today are Senator Priya Sundareshan of Arizona State Legislature, Selina Barajas, Tucson City Council candidate, Miranda Schubert, Tucson City Council candidate, Javier Soto, IBEW 570 Political Director, and Catherine Nichols, Arizona List Executive Director, and Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva. So we've got a lot in store for tonight. I would love to have all of our speakers do two things as we begin this panel. Please introduce yourself, tell everyone one fun thing about you that maybe nobody really knows, and then I'd like you to answer the following question. What does it mean to be a labor-friendly candidate or elected official? And if you're someone in the union space and you're not an elected, what do those things look like for you? So what does it look like for a candidate or an elected to be labor friendly? And anyone can kick this off.
All right, I'll kick it off. This is Javier Soto, IBEW Local 570 organizer and political director. One thing you may not know about me, I guess, I don't know, there's a lot of things, but I love to go camping. I love being outdoors. It's pretty nice. And got some camping trips planned next weekend, as a matter of fact. What does it mean to be labor candidate, labor friendly? It's more than, just lip service. You know what I mean? We really need some support for the working people out here in Arizona, working families. A lot of the policies that we have here in the state really are against us. We are a right to work state, you know what I mean? So we have to work extra hard for organizing people, getting people in unions. And we could really use some support from the bottom level, lower ballot candidates to the governor, to Congresswoman Grijalva. We really appreciate you being labor friendly.
Thank you, Javier.
Okay, well, since he said my name, I'll just jump in. I am Adelita Grijalva, Congresswoman-elect. So let's see. A fun fact is I think I'm going to break a record for not doing my job, not getting sworn in. I will have, after this little next week, I think I might be the person waiting in the wings the longest, which is not the kind of record I wanted to break. I think being labor friendly and being an advocate for labor is really being an advocate for people in general, like making sure that you're protecting workers' rights, you're protecting, when you do that, you're protecting the entire organization. So whether I was on the school board for Tucson Unified or in the Pima County Board of Supervisors, or where we are here, so much is at stake right now with Trump cutting federal jobs, whether you're union or not. And so to stand in solidarity is something so important at every single level of government. Do you want me to toss it over to Selina?
Yes.
All right.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman. My name is Selina Barajas. I've been thinking about my fun fact. So the first thing that popped in my head was a lot of people don't know that I had a pet goat growing up. So that's a fun fact that I'll share. And no, I'm just really honored and excited to be in this room with you all, from, Javier to our Congresswoman. And, they're doing the work already. For me, entering this space as becoming Ward 5, the city council member for Ward 5, the first female to ever run and win in Ward 5. And as a daughter of union members, both my parents taught with Sunnyside Unified School District, and we're a part of the SEA. It's meaningful for me, and to know that because they were union members, those values have stuck with me. It's really important to have food on the table, roof over our head. So understanding and recognizing that economic justice and community well-being are intertwined. So, showing up beyond the photo ops, making sure that we're listening to our workers, that we're standing with our unions and advocating for workers' rights, and making sure that, the pay is fair. We're going to continue to do that. And I'm going to make sure that, our families, our working class families, have a seat at the table, but more than a seat at the table, that they're going to be the ones really guiding the conversation. And Ward 5 has a lot of working class families, a lot of union members, a lot of union brothers and sisters. So that is something that I want to continue to fight for. So thank you all. And I'll pass it on to our future council member of Ward 6, Miranda.
Thanks, Selena. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a dues-paying member of CWA Local 7065, the United Campus Workers. I helped to start that union 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago. And it fundamentally shaped the way that I see leadership at all levels, whether it's elected or even on a ballot or just as a community organizer, but a sense of we need to change the system if people are going to get ahead. So I think being, pro-union isn't, like Selena said, it's beyond going to get the photos taken, being with the cool kids at the union events, but it's about showing up. I think it's about being creative. Javier mentioned, like, being in Arizona, it's not easy to do this kind of work. And I think that leaders need to be really creative and think outside the box about like, okay, so if we have these kinds of obstacles, what can we do to continue the organizing while simultaneously fighting for changes at different levels so that unions can become more stronger in real ways, you know. So I think it's, you know, it's about showing up, it's about being proactive and listening to workers. To me, it's also about making a city in which everybody can thrive. So bringing down the cost of housing and transportation so that people can get to work. So that if, you know, your car breaks down, you can still, you know, you can still make it in. That you have the access to mobility, you know, as an essential human service. And a rising tide lifts all boats, you know. So if we have a city in which workers can thrive, then that'll be a place where everybody can thrive. So really excited to be here and be a part of this panel. And I'll popcorn it to Priya.
Thanks, Miranda. Hi, everyone. I'm Priya Sundareshan, Arizona Senate Democratic Leader, represent LD 18 in Tucson. And I guess if we're still doing fun facts, the stage starts early. So for me, it was dancing at a young age and, you know, learning how to perform and maybe those skills have transferred probably. So what does it mean to me to be a union-friendly, labor-friendly candidate and elected official? Like Miranda, I'm a member of CWA Local 7065, the United Campus Workers. And I think it is not just, as everyone has said, it's not just being a member of the union and being able to say so and showing up, but it is also for me, it is going back to the roots of the struggle, right? Unions have built the foundation for working people in this country to have better paying jobs, to have good working conditions, to have days off, right? To have the ability to have a decent and dignified job. And the one that lets you go home and also have a family and have a life. And I think right now, in this moment when billionaires are extremely powerful and we're seeing the results of a lot of, you know, of policy decisions that have come from very, you know, mostly a lot at the federal level, but honestly, they filter all the way down, that benefit the corporations and the ultra wealthy to the point where we are now at this moment. I think that's where, to me, recognizing the roots of the struggle and being very skeptical of the claims of those corporations when they come and say, hey, pass this policy, don't worry, it'll be good for you. It'll be good for XYZ, maybe it'll be good for jobs. To me, it is coming into my elected role with a healthy skepticism of those claims and just really pushing and asking questions and making sure that what they're claiming is truly going to be good for working people and our ability to live in our communities. And that's how I embody that kind of labor-friendly and union-friendly approach. And I'll pass it to Kathy.
Hi, everyone. I was trying to think of my fun fact. I think my fun fact is that I had for 10 years on Tucson Community Cable a show called Politics in Tucson. But I have been working in politics for a while, and I am always honored to be invited by friends like Brianna at AFSCME and folks here from CWA and other unions, because we are working really hard to recruit women to run for public office who are committed to unions. Because when you are committed to organized labor, you are committed to fair labor practices, you are committed to helping make sure that workplaces are safe for women and families. And so we are entirely concentrated from school board all the way to the governor, making sure that the people who choose to run for office have good credibility when it comes to supporting organized labor. All right, and I'm gonna pass it on. But Brianna, you tell me who to pass it to next.
I think that's everyone. I think everyone answered that question, the introductory question. So thank you all so much for your remarks on what does it mean to you to be a labor-friendly candidate or an elected official? And some of the highlights that I heard was a couple of things: representing people, standing in solidarity, union values are rooted in the work and making sure we're showing up advocating for workers' rights, knowing the difference between the work and the just showing up to take a picture, allowing values to show and be a person who is standing at the foundation that's been built by labor, workers, the middle class, and continuing on the movement in everyday life. So lots of great insight from all of you. Greatly appreciate you sharing those perspectives. And I think we heard it at the beginning of the call as well from our AFSCME local presidents, as well as the governor, that we're all doing things that are labor friendly, and we're redefining sometimes what it looks like to be labor friendly, as well as we deal with the times that we're going into. Standing in solidarity has a new definition in today's society sometimes too. So thank you all for standing firm and standing in the gap and being that extra help in hand that we need to get through this together. My next question is going to be for Adelita Grijalva and for Kathy Nichols. And that question is, what is the importance of down ballot races?
I'll go ahead and say they are the most important. The down ballot races are the races that are closest to the community. I learned so much from being on the TUSD school board for 20 years and 4 years on the board of supervisors, and working with city council members and mayors and supervisors, because they're the ones that are deciding what are the solutions that are going to address the problems in our community, but then how do we really enhance the beauty of where we live? Local races do all of that. And then many, many times, people who are running in school board races or city council races run for higher offices. And you learn so much that is so critical to any position here. People keep talking about Congress is crazy, so how are you going to deal with that? It's so ugly. I'm like, have you ever been to a school closure hearing at a school board? I can deal with anything. And that's the beauty of it, because you talk directly to constituents about what you are, what you're standing for. And when we lift up strong champions, specifically in this case, labor champions, from the down ballot, we're strengthening our communities from the ground up. And that's how we create lasting change.
Amazing. Thank you. Kathy? I wonder if she's frozen. She might be frozen. Oh no. Okay, so we'll come back to Kathy on that question. Let's move to my next question. This question is for Senator Priya Sundareshan and for Miranda Schubert. What do you feel like is at stake?
School board. Oh, I'm frozen.
Sorry, yeah, you froze. So yes, go ahead.
Okay.
She's muted though. Okay.
All right, now I'm here. I'll be really fast. Now I'm frozen again. Okay, I'm gonna be really fast. Okay. Going from the ground up is so important for our statewide leaders. When we have strong candidates at the local level, that helps Katie, that helps Chris, that helps all of our champions at the top. But also, if you have been involved in one of those school board negotiations, you know that it's so critical to have good labor people in school boards. For our bus drivers, for our school janitors, they need good school board members who believe in unions. The same is true at the city for our city workers. The same is true at the county for our county workers. So it radiates out when you have folks at local levels.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you both for answering that question. And some of the things that I really want to highlight before we do move to the next question is something that both of you said is closest to the community. And Kathy's point was going from the ground up helps everyone. And I think those settle back on the tone that labor is rooted in everyone. If the labor movement started to support everyone's ability to have upward mobility. So greatly appreciate your remarks on that question for both of you. Okay, so to move us into our next question, like I mentioned, this next question will be for Senator Priya Sundareshan and Miranda Schubert. And that question is, what do you believe is at stake looking forward, looking beyond the Tucson City Council elections, but for 2026 and even 2028?
Okay, should I go first, Miranda?
Yeah.
Okay.
She said your name first.
Okay. And sorry for any echoes that has been occurring. Kathy and I are in the same room. So what is at stake? It's a lot. Okay, so I'm coming to you as Senate Democratic leader, where in the state legislature, Democrats are in the minority in both chambers, but we are in the bare minority. And what is possible, what is at stake, and what is possible in the 2026 elections is having a legislature that could be more responsive to the people. We have in the Senate, we have a 13 to 17 difference right now. In the House, we have a 27 to 33 difference. We can make it up and take the majority with a few flipped seats. And that's the effort, that's the work. And thank you so much, Brianna, AFSCME, and all of our union partners who support us in that effort. Because at this, what is the importance of these down ballot races? Legislature sets your election laws. So whether or not voting is open and accessible to everyone, and whether we're able to have vote by mail, or as we recently, the legislature unfortunately recently rolled back the permanent early voting list, right? If you remember, we used to have Pebble. We all liked Pebble. You knew you were going to get your ballot in the mail consistently forever. Now it's only the active early voting list because the legislature decided that they didn't want everyone to have that easy access to vote forever, right? So voting rights are something that's set at the state level. If you want more expansive voting rights, we've got to get Democrats elected and we've got to take the majority. So many other things, like we just heard Governor Hobbs talk about what she's accomplished. And she can accomplish so much more with Democrats in charge at the legislature who aren't, in the Senate. Senate Republicans have thrown up roadblocks for every single one of our agency nominees. They've allowed a few through to get confirmed and stay in their positions. But for so many others, they have been horrible and treated them horribly, asked them ridiculous questions, made mountains out of molehills just to sink their nominations. And what that does is it doesn't allow those agencies to move forward with the jobs that they've had to do. Now, thankfully, Cecilia is here, and I believe we did get to confirm her. Woohoo! But that was one of very few, right? Like every single one of those nominations was really, very fearfully looked at because we didn't know what crazy thing the Republicans were going to decide was a problem and block the nomination over. So that's just a few of the examples, but like you name it, education funding, like vouchers and allowing vouchers to continue in their completely unaccountable, unregulated format. That's because Republicans are in charge. But again, that's what's at stake in 26. We can flip it and we can start putting in that accountability measures. So I'll stop there. There's so much more, but Miranda, to you.
So much more. I mean, what's at stake? Everything is at stake. We definitely need to flip the state. We need to reelect our attorney general. We need to elect people like Stephanie Stahl-Hamilton. We need to flip CD6 and get Siscomani out. Like there are so many projects that we have. Like we should never be leaving the doors. We should be knocking on doors all the time. And I think, on a more sort of philosophical level, I think what's at stake is pulling people back from feeling cynical and exhausted and disenfranchised. And that's why it's so exciting to be in union spaces and to be an organizer who's constantly thinking about connecting with people at the grassroots, because that's where it really starts. That's where we get people who have been disillusioned by our rigged system to believe that they can have a part in changing it. And everybody has a role to play. And I'm constantly trying to bring more people in every time I'm out knocking doors or making calls. It's beyond a city council election. It's beyond what happens in 26. It's beyond getting Trump out. This is about ensuring that, working families and unions and labor are at the center of our plans for economic development, the way that we care for communities and make policy, and just showing that this is the way that we can create the change that we need to see. So yeah, I'm just very much about the doors these days.
Yeah. Let me understand. That's like the election brain. It's like doors, 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 doors. You make a chant out of it. So I appreciate you both for those remarks, and I really appreciate some of the highlights I wrote down. Is a lot is at stake. Everything. It's all on the table. Everything's up for grabs. So we've got to be all in all the time. And it's really felt like that. We thought we were going to have like an off cycle, and we've just been going crazy. And I can imagine what Congresswoman elect Adelita Grijalva is going to be going through in another 6 to 8 months when she's back at the doors herself. So it's like there is no break, there's no opportunity. But I love what you said, Miranda, about pulling people back from feeling disenfranchised. And I added a little bit to that, and instead instilling hope. So I believe that we're all doing that, not only on this call today, by giving each other an extra boost and push to get us across the line for what's to come for Tucson city elections, but also what we're looking forward to in the next couple of months and the next couple of years as we stand together in solidarity and make sure that labor is at the forefront of those fights and at the top of people's minds and hearts as we're working for working class people every day in the work that we all do. So greatly appreciate everyone's beneficial collaborative efforts to put it all in the pot and mix it together. So my last question before I then open it up to the panelists to say any last words they'd like is for Selina Barajas and Javier Soto. What is the one labor issue that you're most passionate about, and how are you working towards that goal or doing that work every day?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. I'm deeply passionate, about fair wages and workplace dignity. No one working full time should have to struggle to afford a roof over their head or food on the table, or childcare. Actually having a conversation with Javier here, he reminded me the importance of childcare, especially for our single fathers, our single mothers, getting childcare earlier. So that's something that I've been really keeping lens on, and something that I want to figure out how to do for our workers. And just, as someone that works multiple jobs and someone that knows a lot of people that work multiple jobs, and juggling that, it's really important to advance policies that will value people's time, provide health and other contributions. So I feel like when our workers are thriving, our families are thriving, our cities thriving, our community, our state, our nation. So really making sure that fair wages is in the forefront. And I'll pass it on to you, Javi.
All right, that's great. And, and I really couldn't have said it better myself, because that's what we fight for, is our families to live comfortably, right? All of our union members that we represent to, live comfortably, right? You know what I mean? Have all the benefits, health care for their families, you know what I mean? That's the most important part to me. And another thing that we're finding, in labor and is a wage theft. You know what I mean? There's a lot of workers out there that I see that are being taken advantage of, right? The unrepresented are being taken advantage of. Recently, where we've been doing a blitz, basically reaching out to the residential market, the people that build the houses around here. And some of these developers are asking the contractors to lower the wages 20% because the price of the material has gone up, right? And they don't want to lose any of their profit, and they pit these contractors against each other, and they'll just lower the wages. And these guys don't have any say about it, right? Because they don't have a contract. They're not represented, and that's one of the most that's one of the most passionate things I that makes me passionate is these people are getting screwed, and something needs to be done about it. And right now with the Department of Labor, even if we did gather the information, have everything, where will it go? When will this, even when will anybody even take a look at this issue? You know what I mean? So basically it's fighting for better wages here, so families can enjoy their lives. I think Southern Arizona is probably one of the lowest wage, has probably the lowest wage rates in the West, so that's what's important to me.
Thank you both so much for that. So what I heard was a lot of different things for sure, like importance of childcare, dignity on the job, fair wages, fighting back against wage theft. But also what I heard was just an acknowledgement of the trials and tribulations that our communities go through. And I really appreciate you both for highlighting not only what you're working towards in your work or in your labor movement, or Selina as a candidate, but also what you're imagining and dreaming for our communities collectively. So greatly appreciate you both sharing those words. And now I'm going to just open the floor to our panelists to any last words or a question that maybe you didn't specifically get asked that you would love to share with everyone before we move into Q&A. Any
So
takers?
much a question. I just want to say, just to keep knocking on doors, knock, 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 like we're all saying here, because we will be back out there knocking on doors for our Congresswoman. And we're working hard here with City of Tucson is running Miranda and I just knocking on doors and increasing those numbers. So if you all want to join us, please come out and join us. We'll be out tomorrow, actually, at kicking it at Arizona List at 8:30 a.m.
And we just want to say, if you're thinking about running for office, please be in touch.
I do want to say that I want to sort of echo what Miranda was talking about, going door to door and consistently going door to door. I think that so many people have just been burned by just what is happening in our nation, and they keep going out and voting and just don't feel like and their voice is making a difference. And so for us to continue to amplify their concerns and say, but that's why we're here. We're here because we want you to have a voice, and remind them how close some of these races are. If we just continue to do that, think about it. I mean, many of us are elected by a small percentage of people that can actually vote. Like when you get to 25% of registered voters voting, everyone gets excited. And I'm like, but what about all of those people that are not being heard? And what if they actually came out and voted? What would our government look like? It would be more for the people. And so I do think that we just have to keep canvassing all the time, whether it's in information, whether it's engaging people. I just think that we have to get used to it, because it makes such a huge difference when we say it is the most effective way to get people engaged. Well, then we should be doing it more often all the time, because it is the way to do it. So I just want to encourage us to not, and for labor to see what a value it is for everyone to be a part of like the same movement. I always appreciate being endorsed by labor, and labor goes and reaches out to their own, which I think is great. But then also, to have, when I think it's the most powerful when teachers come out with candidates, when students come out with candidates, when union workers are like, I work a incredibly hard job, almost 60 hours a week, but I'm out here on a Saturday because this is important. That makes a big difference to people. It really does. So I just want to sort of do that, because there are so many people that are on this call that go canvassing every single time they can for multiple candidates, like Cecilia Valdez. I know she loves me the most, but she volunteers for everybody. She's my preschool teacher. She does love me the most. And I see Keith here. There are people that have been canvassing literally like from the time I can remember going to a headquarters. I remember seeing them. But we need all of us to keep doing that and encourage young people to do it too.
And if I could offer a final two, 'cause I don't want to take the last word from Adelita, but the hope that Miranda was talking about is so important right now. Like us having these conversations and saying like, we're living in a terrible time, but there's hope. If we get engaged, if we do the work, if we talk to people, it's both that, and it's also naming who's doing the bad stuff. Because, in case they don't know, like the Biden administration and Congress had appropriated all this money for great jobs and projects that were union jobs, and now the Trump administration is canceling them. So like, this is like, who's at fault here? Let's not just move on. Like, I am so upset when I hear about these projects getting canceled and that they would have had these union jobs that have been created. I want to keep talking about it, and I want to make sure that people know who's behind it and why that happened. And it was Trump and Republicans who did it.
Thank you, Senator Priya. Any other last thoughts from any of our panelists before we go into Q&A?
Yeah, I just want to say a big congratulations to Ben with AFSCME Local 905. It sounds like they got a great win for blue collar workers, and I think that's awesome.
Thank you, Javier. All righty, so let's move us into Q&A. I have a question from Nick Coda. So Nick, you will be unmuted and you can ask your question to the panel. Please make sure you also direct your question to whomever you'd like to hear from. Nick Cota.
Hi, I don't know if everyone can hear me okay. I'm sorry for the delay.
Yes, we can.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. First of all, to hear from these folks. My question is, what's the best way to bridge any potential divides amongst working class people? I had seen that recently in attending the Project Blue town halls, where a lot of people were concerned about the environmental impact, and yet there were a good amount of union representatives who were advocating for union jobs. And so my concern and my question is about that potential divide where maybe it's not so clear what the best position is when considering supporting unions.
That's a good question.
I'll take a first stab, I guess. So I had that same situation in being very supportive of unions, and some unions that are also have mining contracts. And how do I balance that? And ultimately where I landed is it's the impact to the community and the environment that is important, and to push green jobs, to push jobs that work in renewables. I mean, I think that it's really important for us to move in a different direction, especially in Arizona. And so that's sort of what I've been talking about. And that it's not that I am not supportive of union jobs. It's just those jobs in the grand scheme are temporary. And when you can invest in like ecotourism, that's something that is long lasting for generations. And so I do think that we are in this position where I am very supportive of union contracts. And if there is a mining project that's already out there, then I'm going to fight for workers to have a fair contract. But trying to understand that when we balance it out, I mean, Patagonia and that mine there will devastate that whole economy. And that is a big, it draws millions and millions of dollars for Arizona. So how do we balance that? That's sort of what I look at. And I think it's important to note that my grandpa was a copper miner. And so I understand that for families, it's important. I mean, and those jobs make a difference and can change the trajectory for an entire generation. So I'm not naive in that. I just think that it is a balance that we really have to start moving forward together with our unions to understand, and also to appreciate that unions are nonpartisan in some cases. You know, there are unions that have Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Greens. And so to understand that fighting for good paying union jobs isn't always just straight, party line.
I actually, so I came out pretty strong against Project Blue, like really fast. And then I had a moment where I kind of cringed when I saw the meetings and I saw that there were union folks that were speaking up in favor because I know them. And so we met, and I was a little nervous about having the conversation, but I just went in there and I explained where I was coming from. But like Adelita said, it's a balance. So I was just explaining, like, look, this is the way I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm so pro-worker that, like, I want to ensure that we have, like, water left for future generations of working families. Like, I don't want this to turn into two sides being pitted against each other. And so it was a really good conversation. Like, we were both sharing our perspectives, and, like, we understood where each other were coming from. And the point where we came together was when I shared that my understanding was that there wasn't a guarantee that there was going to be union labor, right, for the project. Like, the explanation was they would get a chance to bid. So that's where we had our common ground. Was the folks that I was talking to said, oh yeah, our support immediately is withdrawn if they're not going to hire union workers. So I think it's important when we say no to things like Project Blue to also be looking for ways that we can attract the types of industries and jobs that we do want to see in Tucson.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll jump into, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
How do you go?
I just want to say that, yeah, it does come down to balance, right? Yeah, we could use the jobs. We would be excited to do that kind of work, build mines, data centers and whatnot. But we don't want to see our state, we don't want to see the depletion of water. Things have to be sensible. Renewables are big. And I think that's the direction we need to go. But like I said, there has to be balance. You know what I mean? We can't just build all of these homes around here. They suck up a lot of water as well. Maybe we can balance that with some type of business development as well, right?
And just to echo what everyone has already said, like I think there are the projects that I'm crushed to find out from folks like Javi that the American Battery Factory project is either is canceled, or they're slow walking the money, or something is going on with that project where it is not proceeding as it should. And that's exactly the kind of that green job that is union confirmed, right? That would have really been amazing. And I want to see that proceed versus, balancing, on the other hand, some of the other jobs where, there may not be, for me, the benefit that, provides that sustainability component.
Sure. Thank you, Senator Priya. Okay, so let's go to our next question. And also, for the sake of time, if you have a burning response, we'll have two folks answer each question so we can get through a little bit more questions before we run out of time here. Our next question will be from Andrew Sheasley. I pray to God I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. Andrew Sheasley.
You did pronounce it correctly. Well done.
Yes.
This was meant for Hobbs. I don't believe our governor is here anymore. What would it take for state employees to be unionized?
For sure. I will follow up with her and ask. That's actually, I can answer that a little bit. That's actually a conversation we have actually been pursuing with Governor Hobbs since she got elected. We used to actually represent state workers at one point in time and county workers. So we are steadfastly trying to work towards that. We've actually got some folks who are interested and who have been also asking for that ability to organize as well. So I will be following up with you, Andrew, and if you'd love to help us organize, then let me know.
Understood.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, next we will go to Ivy Schwartz. Ivy Schwartz, if you're still with us. Okay.
Ivy should be here. Oh, there we go. Here she is. Got me. Hi there. So this was for the governor, and it looks like she's gone, but I'll put it out anyway, which is health and safety are incredibly important for workers and families. And I wanted to ask the governor if she would join the multi-state compact with Washington, Oregon, California, and Hawaii.
Multi-state compact. Okay. Thank you, Ivy. I will pass that along as well, and we will follow up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next question we have is from Mary. Just Mary, no last name. Mary.
Yes, hi. My question is about affordable housing because it's been mentioned a few times. We need rent control in Arizona. And I actually brought that up to a member of the state legislature that was in a meeting. And the response I got was, well, you have to deal with the corporations. Well, you just lost my vote because then you need to deal with the corporations, not me. Because I doubt very much that the people that are moving here from California and Oregon and Washington and Illinois and Texas are taking pay cuts. So they are making those state salaries and paying rent that they can afford, where Arizonans are, just eking by and rents keep going up. So my question is, why is no one talking about rent control here?
I can step in for the state legislature since I am the state legislator. So we are talking about rent control. Our Democratic caucuses in the state legislature have rent control as one of many of our priorities that we introduce every session to address affordable housing. And, I believe we currently have a state preemption on
Yep.
rent control. Yeah. Okay. So my city friends.
1985 state law passed.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that's where we are again with Republicans in control of the state legislature. They're actively preventing our cities who might want to pursue that from being able to do that. And so that's one more thing that we would love to do when we flip.
Yeah. Mary, there's a state law that passed in 1985, Arizona state law that prohibits city, county, or town from implementing rent control. So what we need to do is we need to get more Democrats in the House and Senate in Arizona in order to actually move on these.
A good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and the next question is from Sandra Cole.
Hi there. I have a question about retirees. How are you supporting your retirees, and how do you take care of your future retirees? Are you bargaining for them, or is there no longer pensions? Because I have a pension, I'm very lucky, but I'm wondering how your future retirees are going to live with dignity and respect.
This is any takers?
It would be like you're asking about how unions are continuing to negotiate for them. I just want
to. My question is for the union. How are they taking care of their retirees now? But luckily, when I worked a long time ago, but the unions could negotiate for the retirees. I know that under George W. Bush that we lost that option as a union. They can no longer negotiate for retirees unless the company agrees to it. So is there no longer my question is, how's the support with future my main support is future retirees. Sorry.
Okay. I as a part of the building trades, the IBEW, we do have multiple pensions for ourselves and annuities as well. And I know that the other building trades also do that as well. In the private sector of these trades, yeah, we do have strong unions, and the pensions that we have are pretty good. Now, I know some of the other unions like OPIU, they were almost lost their pension, and they're only going to get a percentage of it, but it's better than nothing for them. You know what I mean? But yeah, we are still fighting for pensions, and we are still putting into multiple pensions as a union.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And I can also briefly answer that question as well. We hold our retirees near and dear to our heart. They show up more than anyone shows up. Yep. They are our backbone. So we fight for them tooth and nail every chance we can get. Our AFSCME retirees are actually just lobbying on Capitol Hill in DC, fighting for their rights alongside active the AFSCME International supporting them, making sure they get there to share their viewpoints on what's happening with the federal cuts. Organizing events for them to stand in solidarity with organizations like AARA, which Sandra Cole, we know you out there with them as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is the ARSC coalition, which we actively help to fund as AFSCME, and so do many of our other unions who have members who are receiving pensions from the ASRS. So every legislative session, we are coalescing around making sure we don't lose any ground with our pensions. And Daniela Smith, the awesome lobbyist, make sure that we are protected, and we ensure that we're fighting for those rights for those pensions each and every year in the state legislature, because every time they're coming after those pensions, especially on campuses for teachers and those who work as professors. So thank you very much for the question, Sandra. We love our retirees.
I know.
I will die for a retiree. Okay. So I got to be retired once. I love Roman Ullman. Many of you probably know him. He has a saying every time I see him, our retiree in waiting is what he calls me. So we're all retirees in waiting. If we don't take care of you all, we have no future. And you are definitely the root of our labor movement many times. I see Louisa's on here. She knows what I'm talking about. Awesome. Let's see, did we have any other questions? Okay, last question is from Laura Craft. I was going to call you Laura Croft, like Tomb Raider. Laura Craft.
That happens to me all the time. Thank you very much for taking my question. So my question involves healthcare, and we've talked a little bit about the influx of people that have come into Arizona and how that has driven the economy and other areas. My question comes around healthcare, though, and how the influx of those people, additional people to Arizona, will be supported through healthcare activities and needs in the future. Will there be enough caregivers in Arizona to address these additional people that are coming into the state?
A great question.
I'll just say on the federal side, the short answer is we're not going to be able to support the people that are currently on either Medicaid or Medicare or any, I mean, that's why we don't have the ACA subsidies. There are going to be more and more people that are not going to have healthcare at all. And so what the impact is going to be is we're going to see more people showing up to the emergency rooms because there won't be preventative care. There won't be options, especially if you don't have a healthcare like provider. And so we'll see more and more people get into medical debt for, pre-existing conditions because those protections will not be there. And I believe in Arizona, we should be getting a letter shortly if you're on the ACA exchange on what your premiums are going to look like. And then people are going to understand very clearly why Democrats are holding the line on healthcare. And so it is more people that have health insurance. Actually, the impact to our emergency services is less because you go to preventative. When you don't have that option, you just have to look at people that are living below the federal poverty line, which more and more times are children and women. And, so if I don't have health care, if I don't have a plan, I'm not going to go get a regular mammogram. I'm not going to go get like regular checkups, because if I am, and I am a mom of 3 kids, my priority, we parents do this all the time, especially women, we put ourselves to the back burner and we take care of everybody else. And so what the estimates are, the impact is going to be incredibly significant to women. And so no, none of our systems are going to be able to withstand, especially not our emergency systems, any other person. So I think it's important for us to acknowledge that this is really going to be like a critical issue, life-saving issue, and impact our quality of life in Arizona for sure.
Sure. Do you happen to know what the average increase is going to look like for those individuals that will be receiving this upcoming letter?
Yeah, $700 on average.
Each month?
No, 700, I believe it's $700 a year per individual that is covered. But then this current plan, if everything goes through the way the cuts are proposed, 1 in 5 children in Arizona are going to lose their health care.
Completely.
That's
sad. That's sad.
It's
Well,
horrible.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Brianna, I forgot to mention that I'm Laura Craft. I'm representing candidate Gary Johnson for District 5.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for your question.
Sure. Thank you for your answer, ma'am.
Absolutely.
All right. So that concludes our Q&A portion of this event. And at this time, we are going to give the floor to Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva for closing remarks. We'll wrap this event up.
All right. Well, thank you. This was a really good conversation. I think what is important for us to do is get information together, get our facts straight, and get inspired. Because there are so many fronts where people are feeling very much attacked and hit. And it's opportunities like this for us to sort of gather in community and talk about the issues that are important, get more information that I think is really critical. So I believe that every single worker, especially public service workers, deserve dignity, respect, and a strong voice on the job. That belief guided my leadership in local government, and it will be a foundation of my work in Washington. From the Tucson Unified School District Governing Board to that was like where I first cut my teeth in talking with union leaders. And it has been that foundation of knowledge and people that I can talk to has really driven everything that I've done. And so I think that it's important for us. We have to lead with purpose, fight to advance a labor agenda rooted in equity, respect, and economic justice. And that's what we should all be doing in every aspect, especially those of us that have the privilege of representing people in our community in an elected office. But, you know, the experts are the people that are on the front lines and making sure that we have an open door policy to be able to continue to have exchange of ideas, because I think that that is so important. Public employees keep our communities running, from sanitation to public health to parks, and they deserve wages, benefits, and retirement security that reflect that essential work. I'm proud to stand with AFSCME and all union workers who are fighting for fair treatment, strong contracts, and the right to organize. Workers must have a seat at the table, whether in contract negotiations, health and safety decisions, workforce development. I believe in collaborative, respectful labor management relationships, and I think that it is important for every aspect, every office that we work in. And if you think about the representatives that are pro-union, though the changes that we're seeing in Tucson reflect that support. And try to imagine if we had a whole state of elected officials that were focused on uplifting working families and a working family agenda. That's really, I think, where we need to go. It's time to fully fund public services, not slash them, to ensure that workers have the tools and staffing levels needed to serve our communities effectively and safely. Together, we will fight attacks on collective bargaining rights. We will expand labor protections, not cut them. We will support our workers and family, not tear them down. We will protect and expand Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, not allow them to be cut. The American public is with us. It will not be easy, but we will fight and we will communicate. We will reach out. We will go door to door. We will bring people into our movement, and together we will win. We're going to win these local races in the city council. We're going to win these propositions that are going to make a difference for our public schools. We're going to win our midterms, and we will win the White House back if we all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Adelita. And it's back to Eric.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for hanging in there on a Friday evening. To our panelists who make time on top of all the other work they do to make time to join with us tonight and to share ideas. Brianna, as always, you are amazing. You put this thing together. We have a silent partner in the background, you and I, our executive director, Alex Kack, who made so much of this happen. So Alex, I know you're invisible right now, but we know you're here and we love you. And Brianna, back to you to close us out. Thanks so much for taking point on this, friend. Thanks for inviting PCDP to be involved.
Absolutely. Just echoing what's been said. Thank you all so much. Thank you to our panelists. Shout out to our new AFSCME people members who joined this week throughout our Tucson Blitz. We have upped the ante to about 58 new people members to our pack just this week. So that should give everyone hope that there's still people out there who believe in what we're all doing. So thank you. Stay in the movement, stay positive, and we got this. Until next time. Bye, everyone.
Have a safe weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you at No Kings.
Yes.
No Kings. Woot.